The book of Acts has an emphasis on fulfilling the Great Commission. And really the purpose is to provide a history of the early church. And when you think about the emphasis of fulfilling the Great Commission, it begs the question, what is that Great Commission? And the Great Commission is to share the gospel, to be a witness in Jerusalem, in Judea, and Samaria, and to the ends of the world. And when you start reading through the book of Acts, you see the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, beginning with the apostles and then to other followers of Christ. Yet, at the same time, you'll tend to find that there is a lot of pushback from the religious institution at the time. The Sadducees and the Pharisees are plotting against the disciples and against the message of the gospel. And one thought that I had this week as I was making my way through Acts, and in particular chapter 5, was something that I used to think was great, and then I realized, wow, that's not a good thing. And I'm specifically looking at chapter 5, where Peter and the apostles went before the Sanhedrin, and you have the Sadducees wanting the apostles to stop preaching this gospel. And Peter is filled with the Holy Spirit. And as he is filled with the Holy Spirit, Acts chapter 5, verse 29, you find that Peter and the apostles replied to them, "We must obey God rather than human beings." And what he's saying is that our authority is not you. Our authority is not the government if it contradicts the word of the Lord, in which case it did. Our authority is Christ. And as they begin to speak, there's one Pharisee who stood up. His name was Gamaliel, a teacher of the law, honored by all of the people. He said, in the present case, I advise you, leave these men alone, let them go. For if their purpose or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourself fighting against God. And when I've read this passage before, I thought, exactly, that's right. If it is from God, there is no one, there is nothing that will be able to stop these men. You're fighting against God. In other words, your case is futile. But as I went back this week and I read this passage, I think about the context in which this passage was written. And you find that at this time, there are people standing up for the gospel, in defense of the gospel. You have Peter, you have the apostles, you have other followers of Jesus. And you obviously have the religious institution that is fighting against them. But what about the people that don't commit? And that is exactly what Gamaliel is doing. He isn't picking a side. Yes, he is saying that if you fight against God, there's nothing you can do about it. But also note that he's not in support of Jesus. He's not advocating that the apostles continue to preach the gospel. He's non-committal. He's not saying one or the other. He's what you would probably call a fence-sitter, hey, let's just see what happens. But the call of Christ, the call of Jesus on his people is to spread the gospel, to be a witness to the gospel. Jesus did not call us to be fence-sitters, to wait and see what happens, to let somebody else take charge and go on and spread the gospel on their own. Jesus has called us to be witnesses to the ends of the earth. So as you also think about, what is a reliable index as to what is from God and what is not from God, it's not necessarily the case that if it is from God, it will succeed. Heck, sometimes you won't. Not all of the apostles, their lives did not all end well. They were persecuted. Paul was persecuted. All of the disciples faced persecution. So it is also incorrect to believe that in order for it to be of God, it will succeed. The early church faced significant persecution. So it is not always the case that just because everything is great, that it is of God. There are things that look to be successful to the world, but to Christ, they're not measures of success. So what I learned from reading this was truly not to believe that we should sit and wait to see if it is from God or if it is not from God when it comes to sharing the gospel like Peter and the apostles were doing. It is instead to fulfill the Great Commission from Acts chapter 1, to stand up, to live your faith, to proclaim the gospel, to be a witness, to live a life where others can come and see you and talk to you and engage with you and know he or she is of God. He or she does not abide in this earth to just fulfill the wills of the earth, but their purpose, their hope is eternal. It is not temporal. So instead of being like Gamaliel, who said, let's wait and see, I urge you to get up, to take charge, to not sit and wait, to not be a fence sitter, to not sit on the bench and wait, but to stand up, to live your faith, to fulfill the gospel, to be a witness, to live a life that speaks to the fact that you are a son or a daughter of the King, to rejoice when things are going well, but yet to also rejoice when things are not going well, because you know that no matter what, though you may walk through the valley, remember that you walk through the valley, which means there is an exit, and Christ will shepherd you. Christ will guide you. Christ loves you. He loved us first. So as I finish this out, this was frankly just a realization that I came to this past week, and I just choose to live the calling that Christ has set for me, to obey God rather than human beings, and just to share the gospel, hopefully one step at a time. And although it is scary, and although sometimes I get nervous, that's what the Holy Spirit is for, to enable us, to help us, to fill us, because there are things that we cannot do on our own. There are many things that we cannot do of our own, but with Christ, there is nothing we cannot do, because we are more than conquerors. We are not just conquerors, we are more than conquerors, and Christ will fulfill his will for you in your life and in my life.